Good evening, folks. Welcome to the US Cyber Games Draft Experience. My name is Nathan Ord. It is a pleasure to be here this evening. I am joining you as Play Cyber's live stream organizer, events coordinator, and many things, jack of all trades, if you will. You may have seen me around in the Brella, in the Discord, or the various places that Play Cyber lives. Speaking of, you should join those places to get engaged with the speakers that we have on tonight, from the past nights and in the future. Speaking of these people, upcoming, well, today actually, you might have missed a lunch and learn. If you did, that's pre-recorded and you can check it out on Umbrella right now if you'd like. Upcoming on September 25th, we have another lunch and learn to get excited about. It's about launching into the world of cybersecurity and also getting an internship with Palo Alto. So a lot of good information to come from that. Looking forward as well. So tomorrow is a dive into also getting your first internship, apprentice, job, whatever that may be. So basically all day tomorrow, we're going to be focusing on getting involved with the world of cybersecurity for a career. But looking more at tonight, we have a great panel waiting for you guys right here in this Zoom call. We're going to be talking about funding, scholarships, and a variety of other things that come up. So don't be afraid to also ask questions yourself or follow up on things that get mentioned. We'll be keeping an eye on different chats, Zoom, Discord, and YouTube Umbrella. So put things in there. But without further ado and without wasting too much time here, I want to go ahead and introduce our lead moderator this evening, Mr. Ben Crenshaw. Ben has been around academia and the industry, serving as head of cyber education at WorkEd, has been a senior vulnerability analyst at Dell and Oracle, and is actually one of this season's US Cyber Games pipeline mentors. He has a number of accolades and accomplishments between Teacher of the Year awards and an impressive 20 industry certifications. I don't want to steal all his thunder tonight, so I will go ahead and turn it over to Ben this evening to talk more about himself and who else we have coming on this evening. Ben?
Thank you so much, Nathan. It is a pleasure to be here moderating this panel. We do have a lot of great information. As Nathan mentioned, I've been in industry for a number of years, but I was also a high school teacher and worked with high school kids who were first getting into cybersecurity. And that is a tough field to get into. Not only that, but it is a tough field to really find your way in. So I think our panelists here will talk about a really important aspect of that, which will be the money aspect, right? Show me the money. And that's what we're going to kind of go over because education is expensive, training is expensive, but there's a lot of things going on in this country, especially recently with the White House, basically declaring that they are fully behind and engaged in getting students trained in cybersecurity. If you want to go into cyber, you are in the right place. And there are a lot of opportunities funding wise that we're going to talk about. I'd like to introduce, or actually have our panel introduce themselves. So I'm going to give each of my members just a minute or two, just to kind of tell us who you are and what you do and where you work from, and we'll just kind of move from there. So looks like Sandra, you're right in front of me on the left. So I'll go ahead and have you start. If you just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. My name is Sandra Cyphers, and I am with the Scholarship for Service Program Office. I began with the federal government career in about 2009 with the Department of Defense. And then I moved over to the Office of Personnel Management in 2018. So currently, I am proud to be a part of the Scholarship for Service program for several years now. The SFS program offers scholarships for up to 3 years for undergrad and graduate study in cybersecurity. And this scholarship actually supports, which includes a stipend, tuition, books and fees, and a professional development fund. And in exchange for the scholarship, just as you said a minute ago, the recipients are required to work in a cybersecurity related position for the federal government. So this is a federal government grant. And the government or an approved organization, which is with state, local, or tribal for the same length of time that you received the scholarship for. This ensures that the investment in their education directly benefits our nation's cybersecurity infrastructure. So thank you for the opportunity to introduce myself, and I look forward to speaking with everyone later.
Thank you so much, Sandra. That's great information. I look forward to actually digging in a little deeper with some of those things. Max, I see you right on my next part there. If you want to just say a little bit about yourself and introduce.
Sure, no problem. Thank you, Ben, and thank you for the opportunity to participate on the panel tonight. My name is Max Shuftan. I lead the Mission Programs and Partnerships Division of the SANS Institute, which is a global cybersecurity training organization. I've been with SANS a little under 9 years and joined SANS really at the time when we were trying to identify ways to help more people come into the cybersecurity workforce. And what we found over the last better part of the last decade is that there are certain types of programs that are really effective at helping individuals with a non-traditional background pivot into the cybersecurity field. And so my role at SANS is really trying to help grow and the impact of those programs and bring more people into cyber and fill the gaps that employers have a hard time filling. And it's been a pleasure to join this industry and look forward to the discussion tonight.
Thank you, Max. Who doesn't love SANS training? I know I do. Maia, I got you up next.
Hello, everyone. My name is Maia Butler. I am the student recruitment specialist for Last Mile Education Fund. I am currently based in Dallas, Texas, but I am from Alpharetta, Georgia. A little about who Last Mile is. I'm going to give you our mission statement because I truly believe it's all encompassing. We close critical gaps in financial and career support for financially vulnerable and underrepresented college students, both at 2-year and 4-year institutions, and help them reach the last mile to graduation in high demand STEM fields such as cybersecurity. But we address both economic mobility and the diversity in the talent crisis in the tech-enabled industries. As I mentioned, we fund 2-year and 4-year college students. I'll be able to talk more about that as we continue on in the discussion tonight. And I'm glad you are here and I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
That's great, Maia. I love everything about that mission statement. Thank you so much. Alice, I got you up next.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, good evening, everyone. I am Alice Smitley. I am actually with the DoD Chief Information Office, Workforce Innovation Directorate, and I actually manage the DoD Cyber Service Academy. We were formerly the DoD Cyber Scholarship Program. Sorry, so many name changes in the last year. It's been crazy. So very similar to the SFS program, we are a scholarship for service and we support DoD organizations. We provide funding for up to 5 years. So a student could potentially complete their undergrad and a master's and a PhD, or a PhD program in exchange for working 1 year for every year of scholarship you receive for the Department of Defense. We have full tuition, books, fees, and a stipend. We allow allowances for attendance to a cyber conference of the student's choice, certifications, and things like that. We obviously we allow up to 5 years. When our students get selected, they know that they've got the scholarship and the job at the same time. So students don't have to feel that pressure to go to school, get the degree, and look for a job at the same time. And depending on where the student is in their degree program, that offer will also come with paid summer internships. So gives you some experience to learn about the agency that has hand selected the student, kind of feel out what you want to do, and maybe work with the leadership at that agency to say, hey, I really enjoyed last summer, but I would like to try this, or maybe I could move into that. So it creates that networking and that partnership early on in the degree program, so students can feel ready and excited about starting their career upon graduation. So I look forward to talking more about it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alice. And so let's talk about it. Let's talk about where does the money come from? Where can it come from for all this training, for the opportunities to for school, really to get into the industry, which is the goal. Um, so Maya, Sandra, and Max, you all elected to answer an important question, and I'll ask, and you guys can um, think about it. Uh, what are the most prominent cybersecurity scholarships, and how can students apply to them? And Maya, do you want to start off with that one?
I would love to start answering this. This is actually my bread and butter. So, Last Mile Education Fund offers the Microsoft Cybersecurity Scholarship Program. This is specific to community college students. However, it is open to every community college in all 50 states. One significant thing about the scholarships that Last Mile Education Fund offers is that we are not a merit-based scholarship awarding company. What we do is stand in the gap. So meaning, a lot of scholarships, traditional scholarships do offer them to the top of the top, the best essays, the best videos, most letters of recommendation, whatever. But what's keeping students in college once they start to begin their journey? What's making sure they get through and to that last mile to graduation? So that's what we do. What the Microsoft Cybersecurity Scholarship Program offers is 4 things. It's a $500 one-time cash assistance. The best part about it is that students do not have to use it on college tuition. It does not go directly to the school. It actually goes directly to the student. So they have the choice of getting it as a direct deposit or a $500 prepaid MasterCard. In addition to that, they're going to receive 1 full year of LinkedIn Premium, access to the GitHub Student Developer Pack, and the Global Mentors Initiative that sets them up with a mentor to bridge that gap between them being in school and starting their first-time careers. What they need to apply is simply go on our website, www.lastmile-ed.org. You don't need letters of recommendation. You do not need a GPA, and none of our last mile scholarships actually have a GPA. So we don't have deadlines, No GPA requirement, no essays, no deadlines. So all they'll need is an unofficial transcript, a LinkedIn link as a verification process, because we actually do not even do interviews for this scholarship, and they'll just need a US email. So again, the 5 things that students are going to be awarded if they are at a community college is $500 cash assistance, 1 full year of LinkedIn Premium, access to the Student Developer Pack on GitHub, and the Global Mentors Initiative link for them to sign up. One more important thing to note about this is not only open to associate's degrees earning students, but also those who are solely enrolled in a certificate program at a community college, as well as a boot camp. If you guys don't know, some community colleges also offer bachelor's degrees. So it's open to those bachelor's degrees students as well.
My goodness, that is fantastic. That is fantastic. And let me just remind those watching live or in the recording, well, there is a recording, and we'll also be sharing all the resources and links that you talked about, Maya, in Umbrella app as well. So you won't be missing out on that. So Sandra, the same question. About scholarships. What scholarships are you aware of, and what are the best ways students can apply for some of those?
Yeah, the scholarship that I want to talk about is a scholarship for service, because that's the one that I'm familiar with. Like Alice said, we're very familiar with their scholarship. We're very similar to their scholarship. What the scholarship for service offers is the funding for the tuition, the book fees, any other types of fees. But the scholar also receives a $27,000 stipend for undergrad, or they will receive a $37,000 stipend for graduate students. They'll receive either between 1 and 3 years of SFS support, and their obligation back is we do require a 10-week internship, which will give them experience. And most of the time, that experience will turn into their postgraduate commitment, which is their obligation back to the government, because they're obligated to work for the government as part of their service. The applications to participate are all with the participating institutions, and that's on the SFS website. I can drop the link. Is the chat something that I can drop a link into and everyone see that, or we can send that out somehow?
Yeah,
That
we'll definitely send that out.
that'll be fine. So the link to the SFS participating institutions is sfs.opm.gov, and you'll find all the information that you should probably need to know about the scholarship there. And if for some reason you have additional questions, then you can send our office, the SFS program office, an email at sfs@opm.gov, and we'll answer any questions that you may have.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sandra. And Max, how can SANS help us in this
Sure.
realm of scholarship?
Yeah, so we've had a few different approaches towards scholarship-based programs over the last 8-9 years, and the ones that have probably are most prominently known are typically either called SANS Cyber Academies or SANS Immersion Academies. And these are scholarship programs funded by SANS focused on increasing diversity, equity, and inclusion in the cyber workforce. There are programs that fall under the banner of Vet Success, the Women's Academy, and the Diversity Academy. And we've worked with different community organizations like WeSys, Women's Society of Cyber Jitsu, Cyversity, and others to help raise awareness of these over the years. And the mission of each is focused on enabling individuals that are career changers coming from non-cyber backgrounds to get into the field. And if they get into the program, they'll take typically up to 3 industry training courses and the associated GX certifications with those courses to validate their new skills for employers. And then a career services team will support them on their pathway to jobs in the field. And we've found that model has been really effective. We've continued to grow and run those programs over these last 8 years since we piloted them. And at times we've started other programs with partners that SANS name aren't on, but are still scholarship-based programs. So, for example, the Cyber Jitsu Training Academy is a scholarship program that Cyber Jitsu leads. The WeSys Security Training Scholarship is a scholarship academy that WeSys leads. In the state of Idaho, there's a program with a nonprofit called Mission 43 for veterans trying to get in the field. In the state of Maryland, their Department of Labor has helped fund with SANS a scholarship academy called the Cyber Workforce Academy Maryland since 2018. So these types of initiatives often will have words like reskilling, upskilling, or academy in them. But those are the types of programs we're focused on growing the impact of in alignment with the White House's strategy from last year to make cyber careers more accessible and really try to scale things that are working. We've done some other programs as well. We were proud to sponsor, I think, the first U.S. women's cyber team that got announced last week with access to training and certification as they go compete, and also really proud to support the U.S. Cyber Games Pipeline Program to provide foundational training and security to diverse individuals who participated in the U.S. Cyber Games Combine. So those types of efforts kind of combined together is really our approach to trying to enable more access to cyber skills that employers value. We've seen other organizations like Last Mile, like Center for Net Security, Center for Cyber Safety and Education do great things as well in trying to create programs where passionate individuals with aptitude can get the skills they need to get jobs in this field.
Wow, fantastic. Thank you so much, Max. And Max, a SANS question. Will there be a SANS holiday hack this year? And when might we expect that? And could you explain what that is actually, if that's coming up?
Yes, I can explain it probably poorly. But yes, Holiday Hack Challenge will start. I believe it will start in November. Though it could be off a little bit. It is essentially something that SANS does every year and has done for at least since I've been here and probably longer. That is focused on providing kind of interactive, gamified learning, training, competition. At the end of each year, there's usually a holiday theme to it. It's run by the Sand Cyber Ranges team. They throw together hundreds of challenges. I think last year about 20,000 people played. And you go in, you can work as a group, you can work individually, and it's kind of like an ongoing capture the flag / cyber range for several weeks that Ed Scotus and his team put together. And yes, there will be the one this year. I don't know the exact theme of it. I know a couple of years ago they did KringleCon, so I'm sure they'll have a fun theme for us this year too.
Yeah, I definitely urge everyone to look into the KringleCon. Fun. It's animated. You're moving a character around. Great way to learn cyber. No funding requirements. It's all free. So
Yeah.
something to look. Perfect. Thank you so much, Max. And I think that let's actually move on to a different question. And Alice, I'd love to start with you on this question about sharing some success stories of individuals who may have benefited from cyber scholarships. And I'd love to hear from each of you about some success stories, not necessarily about scholarships, but any funding opportunities that have helped out. Alice? Yeah,
so thank you, Ben. So I have a ton of stories from the scholarship program. I've actually, the Cyber Service Academy has actually been around since about 2001. I joined the program in about 2003. So I have about 20 some years of success stories of students, but two that I'd like to highlight. Actually, three. One real quick. A young man was selected back in about 2004, 2005 for the scholarship. I believe he completed his bachelor's and his master's, and he went to work for the Navy. And several years ago, he contacted me and he said, I'm now in a leadership position. I want to start selecting students from the scholarship program to come work for me. So he's kind of done full circle where he's now mentoring and selecting and molding young students who come in through the program because he knows the benefit of the scholarship program. I had another individual who came in through the scholarship program, did their service obligation, and they left their agency, which is perfectly acceptable. And they said they wanted to go out and work in industry. And this student called me a couple weeks after they left the government, probably about 2 months, maybe 3 months. And he said, Alice, you're never going to guess what happened. And I said, well, what? There's so many different things I could guess. What is it? And he said, well, when I left government service, I went to work for a startup social media company. And this was several years ago, several years ago. And I said, okay. And he said, we got bought out by a larger social media company. And I went, okay. And he said, they paid us in stock options and bonuses and higher pay. And he said, I'm now able to live comfortably and I can pay off my parents' house as a thank you for helping me get on the right track and paying for my first 2 years. And I said to him, well, who did you go work for? And he said, I went to work for Instagram and Facebook bought us out. And I was just blown away by that. And I have another student who got hired by the Air Force in San Antonio. San Antonio spent some additional money on him to send him for training. He came back, was working for them, did several patents, was now leading a major program. And he thought, I'm done my service obligation. I think I want to leave. And Air Force said, my goodness, we can't have this individual leave. Our whole program will fall apart. And they gave him an $80,000 retention bonus. And if you know anything about government pay, that is like beyond belief that somebody got a retention bonus for that amount. So regardless of which scholarship program you select, there are possibilities to move up. to stay with the government, to leave, go do great things in industry, come back, go back out, go into academia. And so, the sky's the limit, as I always tell the students. So
Thank you so much. That's inspiring, Alice. I always say cybersecurity is job security, but it's also job mobility, which is just as important. I always tell my students as well, happiness is choices. And the more choices you give yourself, and that's the happier you are, is what I feel. I'd love to have the same question. Maia, would you mind answering that question?
Yeah, I would love to. One short story, but also an explanation. I think we can all, specifically talking about the scholarship that I just mentioned, the Microsoft Cybersecurity Scholarship. I think all of us on this panel, and for those of you watching, $500 is going to go a long way for a lot of people. I think we all can sit here right now and say, if you gave me $500 cash, there's about 10 things on the top of my brain I think I could spend that money on. And for many of our students, it is a difference between them being a virtual student or an in-person student, paying for groceries for the next week and being able to eat, childcare, being able to get their car repairs done so they can make it to class on time, if at all. So those are just some of the short ways where our funds can go a really long way. But one story that I can tell that is very relevant and recent is we had a student at Houston Community College. And if you've ever been to Houston, they have a lot of highways, they have a lot of tollways, and being a low-income college student, she simply just couldn't afford the tolls to get back and forth to class. Now, HCC does have numerous campuses, but the ones that she was going to, she needed to get back and forth to class, couldn't afford the tolls. That's what she used her $500 on. Last month, so in May, she graduated from her program at HCC. She actually got a full ride to Stanford University and moved out there last month. So had it not been for our $500 helping her get her back and forth to class, she would not be at a full ride at Stanford. And that's just one small way / big way our funds go a really long way. And that was in addition to the networking, the LinkedIn, the GitHub, the Mentors Initiative that we offer. But $500 can make or break a lot of our students. It can make or break them being a dropout, or in sometimes the community college world, a stop out student. So we're truly just trying to keep students on the last mile to success and get them on the pathway that they need to be on.
Wow, that's inspiring, Maia. Just that little bit is the make it or break it. That's so true, and that's great. Max, any stories or thoughts?
Yeah, I'll share two quickly. Both will have similarities. I think I just wanted to underscore, and something I think is important to know is there might be a perception at times that individuals who get scholarships, once they have a scholarship, don't have to work, as hard, or employers will think they got an easier ride than students who didn't get a scholarship. And I think that's just patently false. I mean, what we've seen from students who have achieved these scholarships and then move through programs and into work roles, they not only excel in their first work roles, but advance on their careers quickly, which is why I wanted to share a couple anecdotes here. So Yessie was based in Maryland and was retiring from the Marine Corps, which he joined out of high school and served as a diesel mechanic in. And he came out and he found a job, at a local grocery store, making an hourly wage that wasn't enough to, sustain his life or provide for his family. And so he found the opportunity that the Maryland Department of Labor and SANS had in place with a scholarship-based program, was able to get into it. And after he went through the program, this is back in 2018, he got a job as a SOC analyst, kind of, back then they didn't use apprenticeship, so it was called an internship, for a local government contractor. And it was absolutely a life-changing experience in terms of, getting to do what he was intrigued by, seeing the aptitude and kind of curiosity he had for puzzle solving, being able to put that into a career, and begin to work for a contractor in a SOC role. And today, 6 years later, yes, he's had jobs at BlackBerry, at Venable, and now he's at a financial services firm in Maryland as a digital forensics and level 2 incident response engineer. So he's continued to work his way up in the field. And just to give a quick anecdote as to, this isn't an isolated story. We see this time and time again. Christine Morency was a physical therapist during the COVID pandemic. She knew that she was, burned out of trying to do physical therapy virtually and wanted to change careers. And she saw an advertisement for the WESA Security Training Scholarship. And as stage one of that program, she actually played a CTF, so engaged in gamified learning, much like what I know many participants in the US Cyber Games do. And she did really well in the CTF. She'd never done one before. She knew little about computers outside of video games and things she'd learned from friends and family. But she was curious about it and did great at the CTF, got into a program, achieved several industry certifications, and got a job right out of the program at Booz Allen Hamilton as a cloud security analyst. And fast forward another 4 years, she's now at Merck in a more advanced role leading a cloud security engineering team. And those types of stories, I think, are what make this work really worth it. And, we see students who go through these programs not just contribute in their first job, but excel in the field.
Wow, fantastic. That's great. Sandra, have you any stories, any anecdotes yourself?
We've had a lot of great stories about our scholars. But if I could, I want to touch on something that might be a little different, but still in a highly impactful way with the scholarship. And I'm sure with a lot of other scholarships, we've given out at least it's been over 6,000 scholarships have been awarded since the program has started. But the placement rate going into an agency the placement rate we have now is 94%. So when they actually go into an agency, they have a huge advantage in what agency they actually go to, and the level that they rise to have been all the way from the GS5, and many of them have come back and told us, I'm a GS15 now. So we've had so many stories of how fast they have moved up the ladder with these positions.
Great. Thank you, Sandra. And it kind of brings me to, I think, an important question about what we're talking about is kind of navigating these funding opportunities, these scholarships, which all sounds fantastic, almost too good to be true, almost out of reach to students. And we have dropped some links, and you guys are great mentors, I'm sure. But really, when a student wants to get from where they're at to where they want to be, the way to get that scholarship almost seems untenable. And maybe that's why there's not as many applicants, and maybe there are a lot of applicants. But what are some of the roadblocks or maybe mistakes that people or students make in trying to get this opportunity? And I'll just kind of open that up because each of you have different aspects and perspectives on that. So anyone want to tackle that?
I would love to tackle that.
Right.
I don't mind going first on that one. I think the first mistake is when a scholar is not open and honest. I think that when they fill out the applications, that they need to be open and honest, because with the university, first of all, because that's where they're going to get their information, they're going to get their funding from. However, their security clearance with a federal government agency is going to be very dependent on some of the information that's been provided. So they need to make sure that they understand that they are going to have either a secret security clearance or a top secret security clearance. If you're unable to pass those, then you're going to have a much more difficult time obtaining those security clearance and maintaining them and obtaining a qualifying position. So I would say honesty is going to be your best friend and the right thing. It is the right thing to do.
Couldn't agree more. And something I told my students in my cybersecurity class who are in high school, and when I go to middle schools and as a guest presenter, they say, what's the most important thing I can do to get into cybersecurity? And I always say, be good. Be good. It's just that one little mistake, that one little moment when you thought, oh, it's no big deal. Cybersecurity is all about trust. So it's important to start now being trustworthy and worthy of that trust. Thank you. Who else would like to answer that question?
I'm happy to jump in, and I think in addition to trust, important words are being proactive and persistent. Not getting into a program or getting a scholarship stipend one time doesn't mean you may not get it in the future. And then certainly being proactive in asking, peers, faculty, places you're at an internship for resources, participating in competitions and CTFs, participating in meetup groups and B-sides events, like all of those activities, being proactive, being persistent are important towards finding new opportunities and maybe getting one that you go for a second time that you didn't get the first, or a third time that you didn't get the second.
Mhm.
True. From our audience, there's a question that's a really good question, I think, and they want to know: are these opportunities only for people pursuing specific cybersecurity degrees? They're in communications; they're a communications major, but still want to pursue a career in cyber. Are there different funding scholarship opportunities for that anyone knows of? Alice?
So, Ben, I can help answer that question. So, our scholarship, the Cyber Service Academy, is set up that you have to be in a cyber degree or a degree with a minor in some type of cyber. So we have folks that are maybe interested in policy or law or healthcare or communications, but they have that minor in cyber. Because our agencies select the students, we have different agencies come to the table and need different types of folks. So while an agency like the National Security Agency might need folks that are computer science, heavy in programming and things like that, somebody like defense media activity or the commissary agency might need people who have a cyber minor in, but a degree in communications or supply chain management or policy, things like that. So I would encourage somebody, if they can, swing it, look at doing a minor in cyber. And it doesn't have to be a heavy technical cyber degree, something that gives you that flavor that you can say to that agency, yep, I can do this job. I understand cyber enough to be able to communicate it with the rest of the agency or our customers.
Well said. And Alice, that brings up an important point about cybersecurity itself. There are many, many lucrative non-technical cybersecurity roles and jobs out there that are just waiting to be filled. And a lot of times, I think cybersecurity scares people away, where it's just the person in the basement with the hoodie in front of the computer drinking the Mountain Dew, right? So it is not that all the time. But yeah, there's definitely lots of different opportunities to look at when you look at cybersecurity. And I can kind of pivot off that with another question. And this one's for you, Maia. And the question is, are there scholarships or funding opportunities aimed at increasing diversity in cybersecurity?
Absolutely. So I've already spoken about the one for Microsoft that we offer, but the other scholarships that Last Mile Education Fund offers are primarily for juniors and seniors, and some master's degree students. And that's part of where, again, our name Last Mile Education Fund, we're trying to get people who are in that last leg. So not for our freshmen and sophomores, but our juniors and our seniors. So one that we offer, I can speak on three that we offer: a fellowship for Indigenous women in tech. That one is for our Native American Native Hawaiian and Native Alaskan women specifically who are pursuing computing and technology programs at four-year institutions. There's another one called the Detroit Area Talent Fund. So even if you're not specifically in the city of Detroit, but the surrounding cities, and it does list them on our website, and you're pursuing technology degrees, there's that one as well. It's open to men and women. Another one that I can speak on is this one is also for community college students who have been accepted into a bachelor's degree program and are looking to transfer. That one is called the Reboot Scholar Transfer Success Fund. And there's a set of funds that will provide them resources during the transfer process. And there's another set of funds if they want to apply after the transfer process, and they're pretty much in that first month or two in their new bachelor's degree program. So not all of them are like that. We have three other things that we offer in general that are open to all races. The emergency grant, which is up to $595. The bridge grant is between $600 and $4,500. That one is for juniors and seniors. And the last mile grant is up to $10,000. That one is primarily for seniors who are in their last 2 semesters before they graduate. In addition to that, we just got $1 million from Google. The press release is on our website. We are still looking at the eligibility requirements for that. But if you go on Last Mile's website, again, lastmile-ed.gov/apply, and just scroll down, all of our funding opportunities there. But that's the 3 or 4 that I can name that specifically center on underrepresented and diverse groups, and 2 were for women.
Wow. It's almost, I'm reminded of what I used to tell my students when I first started teaching. If you want to get into cyber, they're going to throw money at you. And it's almost like that, especially nowadays where governments and businesses, they want you, right? They need you to fill their seats, and they're willing to invest in you. So be good, right? Stay good. So I have a question, and I got this question a lot from my students, and it's about certifications and industry certifications specifically. What role do they play in qualifying for these scholarships or funding? Max, I don't know if you know anything about industry certifications, but what do you think? Is that important for scholarships?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think from our perspective, the goal of the scholarship is to empower the student to achieve industry certifications and then secure a job. So when we've designed, programs, largely the focus is on kind of trying to measure aptitude, passion, determination, time management skills, things like that, not so much whether they'd already earned industry certs. It's more of an outcome versus a qualifier. So actually, I'll say industry certifications are a great way to validate skills for employers, but to get into the scholarship program, we feel it's an unfair barrier for entry to get into the scholarship program itself. Now, that being said, if someone writes in their, in an essay or a video they record that they'd, found or borrowed old books for a Net Plus exam and been watching videos on YouTube for the last 6 months on their own, practicing on a home lab they built. That's pretty amazing. So it's not to say it's not a compelling narrative, and it is something that should be respected if somebody went out and did that on their own, but it also shouldn't be a requirement to get into these types of programs.
Well, that's good to know. Thank you for that, Max. As one who has too many certifications, I wish I would have concentrated more on getting the scholarships and the funding opportunities. So that's great. So I want to shift to another question, and I know we're kind of coming to the end, and I do want to leave some time for those who want to talk about something specific. But my question is, and I'll start with you, Alice, for this question. How can students build a solid network to navigate these funding opportunities and career development? Is there some professional development? What's some advice you would give?
Let's see. So I always tell students, I always joke and say that students need to be a sponge and absorb everything and anything they can. I would start out at your institution if you're in school. Talk to faculty members, talk to other students, see if there's cyber clubs or computer clubs or anything like that. Um, doing a lot of, so I was actually talking with students this morning at Tennessee Tech, and a lot of them have said, hey, for fun, we'll go out and Google and see what's out there. And, if you find something, don't ever be afraid to email. If there's hey, for more information, email here. Because a lot of times there's somebody like us, the panel members, on the other side of that email. And we're glad to help you and guide you and give you some information on how you can participate. But take advantage of anything and everything that you can get your hands on. Never be afraid to talk to somebody, and never never underestimate who's in the room with you, because the way you present yourself in a room, the way you act towards other people, it might just give you that leg up and get you involved in something that you had no idea. But I would say start with your institution. They are a wealth of information. And I know from my standpoint and from some of the other programs in here, we're constantly bombarding the institutions with information and activities and job fairs and recruitment events and information sessions and tech talks and all that kind of stuff. Don't kill yourself trying to attend everything, but see what fits into your calendar and utilize those resources.
Wow. Yes, definitely. Anyone else want to add to that? Some other resources, or what can students do to find out what is out there? Any other thoughts?
I would like to add to that. Alice has some amazing information. But if I could just add one thing, we kind of say the same thing. And I try to encourage everyone to apply. Even if you feel like I'm not sure if I really qualify or not, you apply anyway. Let them take you out of the ball game. You don't take yourself out of the ball game. You present yourself as well as you can with as much information as you have, with your transcripts, with whatever they've asked you to send in, and then let them make the decision. Whoever the recruiting specialist might be that is going to do the review, let them tell you that you're not qualified for the position, but don't take yourself out of, well, I don't know that I'm really qualified. So that would be my advice, is to always apply and put yourself out there, because you never know, like Alice said, who's going to be on the other end that maybe you do qualify. They see something that you didn't even realize that could pull you into a position, and you've got a lifetime career.
Such good advice, Sandra. And something, again, I tell my students about applying for jobs. Go ahead and just do it, because one, if you get the interview, you'll get good at interviewing. Interview above your station and learn the ropes. If you want to find out about a company, interview with them. Find out the kind of questions they ask. And it's the same thing with applying for these funding opportunities, isn't it? Is go through the process. Make it, practice getting scholarships almost. Worst thing that can happen is you won't get it. And just by sheer numbers, maybe you'll get one if you keep doing it. So fantastic. Any other thoughts on that? Yeah, please.
So one piece of advice that I can give is always ask questions, always be open, but always start with who's in front of you too. So your professors, for the students out there who are listening to this, your professors know a lot more than you think they probably do. They also know a lot of people. Because I'm on the student recruitment side, I'm constantly talking to faculty, deans, chancellors, presidents, department chairs, things of the sort. And people at one school have connected me to people at another school. So you never know what's in your professor's wheelhouse. Another thing that's coming up that I am able to mention is only because I'm a participant in it. So this Friday, the Center of Academic Excellence in Cybersecurity, CAE, and the Insight Center is hosting a cybersecurity career fair. this Friday from 1 to 4 Eastern time. It's 100% free. Last time I checked, there was more than 40 employers that are going to be there. I found out about it through the grapevine of another website because I'm constantly on the CAE website. So always look at too, if there's a company you're interested in or a network you're a part of, look to see who and what other companies that organization may be connected to. Like we're very connected to WESIS. We're very connected to CAE, Last Mile is, the Insight Center, and a plethora of other places. So always just look through the grapevine and who's a partner of your partner. Also, if you're involved in any clubs on campus, that's another great way to be connected, specifically the computer science club, the cybersecurity club, whatever the case may be. So look there, and I will drop the link to register for that career fair happening this Friday for those who may be interested. Again, Last Mile will be a part of it along with many, many other companies. I think some of us on this panel will be there as well. So that's just another outlet that you guys can look into.
Good advice. That's exciting. Thanks for sharing that. Any other
I
thoughts?
beat her to it. I dropped the link in the chat.
Yes, I saw that. Yep. Fantastic. Thanks for doing that. So I'll ask another question in 2 parts, and you can answer. Anyone can answer any part they'd like. And again, it's kind of going to diversity in cybersecurity. And the first part is how do programs address challenges for non-traditional or transitioning students? Maybe they're not into cybersecurity, and or what alternative funding options exist for those not qualifying for the traditional scholarships. Any thoughts on those?
I can say that for the Scholarship for Service program, we have many of our universities are minority serving institutions, and we have that listed on our website, if I'm not mistaken. I think they're listed under minority serving institutions, MSI. So if you want to go online, you can see that. And also you can also contact each different university and you can ask them, are you a minority serving institution? So I feel that that is a great benefit for our scholars.
Fantastic, thank you. Any other thoughts on that, on non-traditional transitioning students who are maybe going, say, from communications into cybersecurity or things like that?
I can just speak to the first part of your question and what we've incorporated in programs and adjusted over time based on feedback from participants, which is, having not just kind of a take training, study, go take the exam, good luck getting a job model, but including, support services throughout the experience, assigning both kind of student advisors who try to check in with the students, listen to challenges they're having, give them tips, keep them on track, and then also mentors who have, a shared sense of probably experience and background coming from a non-traditional background, from a different career field into cyber that can connect with the students, and creating a cohort model as well. So everyone's connected, especially if it's national, via Slack, via regular Zooms every week, to create a sense of community. So connecting with their peers, connecting with the kind of a technical mentor, community mentor, student advisor, creating constant communication and camaraderie has proven really effective in empowering success for the group.
Good. That's great, Max. Thank you for that. Are there certain projects, say cybersecurity projects, or things that students can really do to kind of give them just a little advantage when applying for that? I know essay writing is really important in this, but what are some other things that they can do, if anything? Any advice on that? I know we talked about certifications. Sometimes that can do it. One thing that has actually helped out some of my students is I tell them to get a GitHub page and start loading it on and really putting themselves out there and showing their projects off. So I found that to be really helpful. And some of them have definitely been chosen over others because of that, in my opinion. So, if there's any other thoughts on that?
I think that's a good example. What I was trying to find the words was, yeah, just kind of self-starter efforts, whether it's a GitHub page, whether it's a capture the flag, whether it's a just doing, some learning on YouTube or TCM or something like that, or trying to build a home lab, trying to, go get a Raspberry Pi. And I mean, those kind of activities always, I think, speak volumes about your interest and passion and commitment.
Well said. Couldn't agree more. And we're coming down the last couple of minutes. I'll open it up for any other final thoughts, but I'll key in here really quick. It's always been my thought that funding opportunities and scholarships and they're difficult to get. I mean, it's not automatic. There is the money is there, but you have to think of it as, from their point of view, almost as, why should I give you this when I should, should I give it to this other person? Will they use it wisely? And then look at it as you're an employer. Who are you going to hire? Are you going to hire the person who has done several CTFs, maybe went and got a certification, proactive, as you mentioned, Max? So I really think it's, if you approach it and your attitude is really it being a go-getter, then it'll get done, I think, a lot faster. Are there any final thoughts? Anyone else want to share some final things before we wrap it up?
I can speak. Just on behalf of Last Mile Education Fund, guys, I know I talked a lot about the Microsoft Cybersecurity Scholarship, but in general, for all of Last Mile Education Fund's opportunities that we offer students, we don't have deadlines at all. So our website is open for you to apply 24/7, 365. Part of our belief is that we can't tell you when you may end up in a financial bind. That's also something I say in all of my info sessions and presentations to students. So whether you're a career changer, you're just taking one class, you're new to your institution, you're about to graduate, just look and see if you qualify for anything. I did only mention about 4 of the opportunities we offer, but there's a lot more on our website. You never know what you can qualify for. All of them are different and specific, but there's no GPA, no essays, and no deadlines for any of our scholarship opportunities. So just check us out. I'll drop the link again for you all. I'm happy to be here. Again, I'm really thankful. And if you're interested, always apply for us, but apply for the rest of these guys as well. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Maya. Yeah. Apply for it all. When the students ask, which one should I apply for? All of them, because why not? Fantastic. Anyone else closing thoughts before we transition out?
I mean, I'd echo what Maya said. It was a pleasure to be here. Check out all the scholarship opportunities you can find. There's the worst you can get is a no, right? And eventually you'll find that it's a good fit. The one thing I'll say is, just because it's the buzzword of the year, is if you do have to do an essay or you do have to record a video and you use an AI tool to write the essay or the video, actually read what the tool produces and edit it to fit your voice. Otherwise, you're going to sound like every other candidate. So being unique, being a differentiator is important when competing for these programs.
So I can say, under the DoD Cyber Service Academy, you don't have to do a video and you don't have to write an essay. We do have a couple questions that you have to answer, but we don't want a whole essay. So apply for us. You won't have to do a video.
Path of least resistance. That's great. Still apply for all of them, but that's great. Anyone else? Well, I got to say, Sandra, Max, Alice, Maya, absolute pleasure. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and your mentorship and your willingness to be here and really just help the next generation of cyber defenders that are so needed. I'm going to go ahead and turn the time back over to Nathan to close things out. Nathan, it's been great, and I'll let you sum it up and close it down.
Yeah, thank you so very much, Ben. It has been a pleasure to have all of you here. And big thank you to Ben for managing everything tonight, running through all the questions and, speaking with our guests about all these important topics. Go ahead and share my screen here. Hopefully, fingers crossed things work. There we go. Kicking back over to here. I guess closing thoughts on these talks, all incredibly valuable information, and I'm going to bring a firsthand perspective to all this. I was a SFS Cyber Core Scholar for 3 years, and I am now out of that and into the workforce. And I have many friends who were in the CSA SISP program, and I just can't express how valuable these programs actually are. At this point in my life, it's not hard to find a job offer, and you get a family of people that you get to be around. You know who they are, you know where they come from, you know what they're doing. So that's an incredibly valuable thing that you get out of those programs. However, I would also note that I wouldn't be where I am right now without the help of other scholarships that fill in the gaps and support me along the way. Prior to getting into a 4-year college, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my career, my life, so on and so forth. So I was at community college. And, programs like Last Mile helped me out along the way to get me to these SFS CyberCore and CSA programs. So everything is incredibly important. Apply for everything, as was mentioned. And I guess when it comes to SANS specifically, I have a great amount of experience, great amount of knowledge that's come out of CTF experiences and whatnot from them. I also have a couple books, shameless plug for SANS here. I have my GX Pen book and my GCIH book, working through GCIH right now. So all of these things are incredibly valuable. You'll see them in the workforce. I am living proof of that. So I think that kind of rounds everything out, and I can't thank all of you here enough for what you do for people like me and people around the cybersecurity industry getting started into this world and basically changing the future, because that's what we're here to do, and make things more secure and better for people around us. But yeah, thank you all so very much. I'm going to go ahead and close out tonight with a little bit of information. Coming up tomorrow, Wednesday the 25th, 11:30, 12:15, we have Finding Your Cybersecurity Launchpad coming up. And then we also have Landing Your First Internship with Palo Alto Networks. Those will be our lunch and learn talks tomorrow. So you can join us right back here on Umbrella. You can also join us in Discord, follow along with these speakers. And we can also come back in the evening for another Ignite Your Cyber Career talk, Landing Your First ... This will be landing a job, landing a career, apprenticeship, whatever that may be. Just opening the floor to discussion on what the future looks like, perhaps after you get one of these scholarships that was talked about tonight. But that pretty well does it for me. As for everything else, we have a big thank you to our sponsors who help us put on the show, put on all of the events that we do. If you're in the DC area, we also have the Cyber Team Draft Day coming up on the 26th. So we'd love to have you there. You get to see who the next team is. It is going to be a very exciting time, very exciting announcements. We're looking forward to that. We also have virtual competition, Flagfest CTF, which will be this Friday, September 27th through Sunday, October 6th. And we might be adjusting some of the dates, so keep an eye out on our social media and Discord and all the different places that we live for updates. And of course, just follow us on social media in general, and you can keep in touch about all the things that we do, including talks like this. But that is it from me. Check us out on the web. We will be back tomorrow. It has been a pleasure to have all of you here this evening. Thank you so very much, and catch you in the next one. Good night.